Preet Bharara, Doing Justice, a Prosecutor's Thoughts on Crime, Punishment, and the Rule of Law. And Doing Justice, a Prosecutor's Thoughts on Crime, Punishment, and the Rule of Law, Preet Bharara takes readers on a journey through the intricacies of criminal law, highlighting the pitfalls of investigations and the importance of a strong work ethic in uncovering truth. Using real-world examples, Bharara offers lessons on how to navigate the challenges within the justice system, stressing the significance of asking the right questions and being aware of human biases. With engaging anecdotes from various high-profile cases, this book will captivate those looking to gain insights into the complex world of criminal law and the difficult pursuit of justice.
Uncovering truth in criminal cases. The pursuit of truth in criminal law is not a simplistic endeavor and requires unwavering dedication, absence of preconceived biases, and a strong work ethic from investigators. The acknowledgement of one's own potential shortcomings and the adoption of techniques from respected investigators, like the legendary mob buster Kenny McCabe, are crucial for achieving justice and uncovering the often complex truth behind crimes. People often assume that finding the truth in a criminal case is as simple as connecting the dots or following the money. But in reality, criminal justice's ultimate goal is holding someone accountable for a crime, which means investigators must be well-versed in discovering the truth. The journey starts with the inquiry phase, where the investigator's commitment to the truth is of the utmost importance. Falling short in this commitment may result from laziness, biases, or presumptions about guilt and innocence. To demonstrate the effect of these biases, the author recalls learning a crucial lesson early in his career. In 1989, his friend Jessica was shocked when a couple she knew, Jose and Kitty Menendez, were murdered, and their children, Lyle and Eric, were arrested for the crime. Jessica couldn't believe the police's conclusion, but the brothers eventually confessed to the crime in 1996. This incident taught the author the importance of setting aside personal assumptions when investigating a criminal case. Moreover, the investigator's work ethic plays a significant role in uncovering the truth. A prime example is Kenny McCabe, a legendary investigator known for his detailed work in cases involving New York City's infamous 5 mafia families. McCabe had extensive knowledge about these families and was a stickler for precision and detail. His commitment to building solid cases earned him respect even from the mobsters he pursued. In sum, investigators need to prioritize their commitment to the truth, be aware of their biases and assumptions, and maintain a strong work ethic. Emulating the diligence and perseverance of professionals like Kenny McCabe can lead to successful investigations and ultimately uncover the complex truth hiding behind criminal cases. The Perils of Overconfidence. Making mistakes is a part of human nature, even for experts who are committed to the truth. However, being aware of our biases and actively reconsidering evidence can help reduce errors. The investigation of the 2004 Madrid train bombing serves as an example of how overconfidence in evidence, like fingerprints, can lead to grave consequences. In this case, the FBI initially accused an innocent man before realizing their mistake and ultimately apprehending the true perpetrator. Every individual has the potential to make mistakes, including top experts in their field. Reducing errors in inquiry and decision-making processes requires a commitment to truth, which involves becoming aware of our inherent biases and human fallibility. Being open to reconsider evidence and acknowledge our mistakes can help avoid being misled. One striking example of this challenge can be seen in the investigation of the March 11, 2004, terrorist attack on 4 passenger trains in Madrid, which tragically resulted in 191 deaths and over 2,000 injuries. Spanish National Police, SPN, investigators discovered 2 latent fingerprints on a bag of detonators inside an abandoned van. The fingerprints were passed on to the FBI via Interpol and matched with a 37-year-old American lawyer named Brandon Mayfield. Despite his unassuming life, 2 more experts confirmed the fingerprint match. Upon further investigation, Mayfield's connections to Islam and representing a convicted terrorist in a child custody case raised suspicions. However, concrete evidence connecting Mayfield to the bombings remained elusive. A fourth expert reaffirmed the fingerprint match, but on the same day, the SPN declared their belief that the prints matched an Algerian suspect, Ounain Daoud, not Mayfield. Ultimately, the FBI conferred with the SPN, and Daoud was charged with 191 counts of murder while Mayfield was cleared and eventually awarded $2 million in compensation. This case highlights that even seemingly solid evidence, like a fingerprint, is not infallible. The FBI later admitted that they were overconfident in their evidence and initial analysis, showcasing the importance of questioning our assumptions and remaining vigilant in our pursuit of the truth. Unlocking investigative breakthroughs. The power of asking the right questions cannot be underestimated, especially in investigations. Challenging conventional methods and adopting a humane approach while questioning witnesses can potentially transform the outcomes and help reveal critical information. Questions that reconsider standard procedures or gain the cooperation of witnesses can lead to innovative solutions and unmask the truth in convoluted cases. In any investigative pursuit, posing the right questions can be a true game changer. It's essential to question conventional methods and reasonings in order to expose overlooked possibilities. A simple question such as, "Why are we doing it this way?" can unearth the need for updating outdated methodologies. An instance in which this occurred was when the author revolutionized how insider trading cases were investigated by raising the question, "Why aren't we using wiretaps?" This seemingly simple inquiry led to a more efficient evidence-gathering process, leading to successful prosecutions. Another crucial aspect of investigations is securing the cooperation of a witness. Gaining a witness's trust can be a difficult task, as there is often a conundrum between loyalty and reduced sentencing for cooperation. It may seem tempting to take an aggressive approach when questioning a witness, but a well-informed and humane approach often yields better results. Steve Braccini, a veteran NYPD cop, demonstrates the power of empathy and thorough research. In a case involving the murder of an inmate at New York's Rikers Island Penitentiary, Braccini sought to overcome the unspoken code of silence that hindered the cooperation of potential witnesses. After researching the background of a potential witness, Officer Torres, Braccini utilized his knowledge of Torres' military service, volunteer firefighter background, and family life to establish a connection. Leaning on their shared experience as Union delegates, Braccini demonstrated solidarity in understanding. This empathetic approach was instrumental in getting Torres to open up about the tragic events that transpired at Rikers Island. This case exemplifies the effectiveness of a well-prepared and humane interrogation technique. In conclusion, posing insightful questions and adopting an empathetic approach can shatter barriers in investigations. By continually re-evaluating procedures and effectively gaining the trust of key witnesses, investigators can break through the toughest cases and uncover new methods of unearthing the truth. So, sharpen your senses and unlock the power of clever questioning to bring about transformative investigative breakthroughs. Beyond accusations, ethical investigations. Criminal investigations, inherently variable in outcome, demand the highest ethical standards when escalating from exoneration to accusation. At the crucial accusation phase, careful deliberation is vital considering the weight of its impact on an individual's life. Prosecutors must avoid succumbing to external pressures or personal biases, and diligently weigh all evidence, ensuring the pursuit of justice remains the ultimate goal. This principle holds especially true for high-profile cases, where the focus ought to be on doing the right thing and reinforcing the notion that no one is above the law. During any criminal investigation, outcomes range from the exoneration of a suspect to uncovering minor transgressions. When evidence points toward an individual warranting criminal charges, the process enters a critical juncture, the phase of accusation. At this turning point, it is crucial to inquire about alternative explanations and exhaust any possibility of doubt, as the ramifications for the accused are life-altering. The irreversible nature of an accusation is akin to a bell that cannot be unrung, necessitating a prosecutor's unwavering impartiality and commitment to due process. Overzealous law enforcement officers not only hinder justice, but they betray its very essence. While positive results are understandably anticipated, the ultimate goal is to uphold the law and serve justice responsibly. This involves exercising patience and an unwavering analysis of the case, disregarding the desire for hasty conclusions. A quintessential example of this involved the author's supervision over investigations against two powerful New York politicians in 2015, Sheldon Silver and Dean Skelos. Upon learning that someone in his office expressed concern about the author's potential disappointment if the case did not lead to charges, he took immediate action to correct this mindset. Assembling his team, he clarified that their hard work and commitment to the truth are what mattered most, regardless of the case's outcome. The eventual result saw the filing of corruption charges, and guilty verdicts were delivered in both cases. However, the most rewarding aspect of the case was not the conviction itself but the reaffirmation that the investigation's core purpose was neither about securing charges nor obtaining convictions. Rather, it underscored the unwavering pursuit of justice and reaffirmed that no individual is above the law. The Dark Fetish Network Dilemma. Prosecutors face pressure when dealing with cases involving public safety threats, like the disturbing Gilberto Valle case. Valle's wife, Kathleen Mangan, discovered his involvement in the Dark Fetish Network, where he discussed kidnapping, torturing, and killing women he knew. Despite trying to assess whether Valle's plans were fantasy or genuine threats, prosecutors charged him with conspiracy to kidnap, partly due to his leave of absence from work and potential public threat. While the jury convicted Valle, the judge overturned the verdict due to believing it was a fantasy. The prosecutors were able to monitor 3 co-conspirators, eventually discovering the real and dangerous intentions of one. Discretion and pursuing justice. The ethical use of discretion is vital to justice, allowing law enforcement to weigh individual circumstances rather than blindly enforcing the law. In some cases, ignoring discretion leads to unfair punishments, such as in the case of illegal immigration. Conversely, a culture supporting crime and corruption may result in some violations going unpunished. Ultimately, change is possible, as evidenced by cultural movements like #MeToo, which brought accountability to powerful figures who previously went unchallenged. Justice isn't always about relentlessly enforcing the law. Discretion, or the ability to determine whether or not to enforce a particular law, is a crucial aspect of the American legal system. Without discretion, there would be limited room for truth and fairness in the pursuit of justice. Despite its importance, there are instances when authorities misuse discretion, such as the harsh enforcement of immigration laws, causing families to be separated at the southern border. Contrarily, discretion comes into play when a thoughtful prosecutor decides to walk away from a blanket approach, taking into account the nuances of fairness and individual circumstances. Imagine a prisoner, Harry, who escaped from a minimum security facility but was caught returning after a brief encounter with his wife. Although his escape was undoubtedly a serious offense, the jury exercised discretion and chose not to indict him. However, discretion could also shield violators from punishment in cultures where crime and corruption are prevalent. The cases of Enron, WorldCom, Harvey Weinstein, and Bill Cosby reveal how money and power can create a veil of silence, allowing transgressions to go unpunished for some time. Culture, fortunately, is not static. In 2015, Manhattan's district attorney declined to prosecute Weinstein despite evidence and an admission of guilt. Yet, with the emergence of the #MeToo movement, the tide turned against Weinstein, leading to his prosecution in 2018 on charges of rape and sexual assault. This shift demonstrates the power of cultural change in influencing the pursuit of justice with discretion as its guiding principle. A champion for the disenfranchised. In a case centered around judgment, truth and justice are vital, even when the odds don't favor a victory. This is illustrated through the story of Sue Ann, a disenfranchised woman seeking justice after being robbed and assaulted. Despite her compromised background, she pursues her day in court, ultimately finding vindication and gratitude. Judgment, a crucial stage in the fight for justice, where maintaining commitment to truth supersedes winning at any cost. The story of Sue Ann epitomizes this concept. As a sex worker in her 30s from the Bronx, Sue-Ann was robbed and brutally attacked by masked assailants. Amidst the ordeal, she had a hunch that one of the attackers was Bam, her roommate's former boyfriend, based on his voice. Notwithstanding her suspected identification of one assailant, Sue-Ann faced obstacles in finding justice due to her mental health history, drug abuse, and being on parole at the time of the crime. Consequently, the local district attorney declined to take up her case. When the case reached the author's office, investigators Tatiana Martins and Ken Navadai stepped up. Surprisingly, additional evidence emerged. Sue-Ann had photographed her stash of money, complete with serial numbers and unique markings, before the robbery. This proved pivotal when Bam was found with matching bills in his possession. Although the evidence provided a clear pathway to settlement, Sue-Ann insisted on testifying in court, seeking acknowledgement and validation after being marginalized by society for so long. During the trial, the jury rejected the defense's attempt to discredit Sue-Ann based on her past. When the guilty verdict was announced, she broke down in gratitude, thanking the prosecution for believing in her. Her tearful declaration, "No one has ever taken me seriously," showcases the significance of pursuing truth and justice, even when society tries to silence the disenfranchised. Mastering the courtroom balance. A successful prosecutor must skillfully navigate the courtroom dynamics, taking into account the judge's personality and staying vigilant about the defense. Knowing a judge's tendencies enables a prosecutor to strategically present their case and counter any unexpected biases. An excellent way to prepare is to understand and analyze the defense's approach, ensuring that the prosecution is well prepared for any arguments or tactics that may arise during the trial. In the 2018 federal criminal trial of Paul Manafort, former campaign manager of Donald Trump, the judge's temperament posed a challenge for the prosecution. Judge T.S. Ellis III, who was 78 at the time, demonstrated impatience and even reprimanded the prosecutors for allowing a witness in the courtroom before their testimony. This momentarily swayed the perception of the jury, forcing the prosecutors to take necessary steps to clarify the situation and restore balance to the trial. Prosecutors also benefit from thoroughly understanding the defense's case. In the trial of Dean Skelos, a New York Republican Senate Majority Leader accused of manipulating businesses into hiring his unqualified son, the defense employed a strategy portraying Skelos as a caring father. To ensure optimal preparedness, the prosecutor organized a mock trial with 12 jurors to gauge potential reactions to the defense's approach. The results showed that the jurors saw through the defense's argument, and both Skelos and his son ultimately received jail sentences. In conclusion, a prosecutor's skill in anticipating the judge's behavior and preparing for the defense's tactics can significantly impact the outcome of a trial. By staying aware of the courtroom dynamics and maintaining a strategic and adaptable approach, a prosecutor can uphold justice and ensure a fair trial for all parties involved. Balancing justice in sentencing. Sentencing a defendant is an intricate task, as judges must consider fairness to both the victim and perpetrator. The case of Carlina Renee White showcases the complexities involved in deciding the appropriate punishment. Born in 1987, 19-day-old Carlina was kidnapped from Harlem Hospital by Ann Petway, a woman with a troubled past. 23 years later, Carlina discovered her true identity and reconnected with her biological parents. Petway's sentencing posed a challenge. While the minimum sentence for kidnapping a non-relative was 20 years, the judge ultimately decided on 12 years, keeping in mind Petway's personal struggles. The question of whether justice was truly served remains debatable. In the intricate process of sentencing, judges often face the challenge of determining an appropriate punishment that's sufficient but not greater than necessary. Striking a balance between the needs of the victim and the defendant is at the heart of this dilemma. A notable example of such complexity is the case of Carlina Renee White. Born to Joy White and Carl Tyson in 1987, Carlina was kidnapped at just 19 days old from Harlem Hospital by Ann Petway. Petway had a disturbing history of multiple miscarriages, sexual abuse, and mental illness. She raised Carlina in different states until Carlina, at age 23, found her birth certificate and uncovered the secret of her abduction. The case posed a challenging sentencing decision. The minimum jail sentence for kidnapping a non-relative child is 20 years, and Carlina's biological parents suggested 23 years, reflecting the time their daughter was taken away from them. However, Petway's lawyer presented an alternative, allowing her to plead guilty to some but not all charges, giving the judge discretion in the sentencing. The alternative would have been a trial that could emotionally traumatize Carlina. Acknowledging Petway's difficult circumstances, the judge ultimately sentenced her to 12 years in prison, describing the act as a crime of selfishness. Both Carlina's parents and the author express uncertainty about whether justice was adequately served in this situation. The balancing act in sentencing remains a delicate and often subjective process. Rikers Island, a dehumanizing dungeon. The justice system is a crucial part of a fair and just society, and how prisoners are treated speaks volumes about that society's values. The prison system is plagued with dehumanization, stripping inmates of their liberties and treating them like cattle. This inhumane environment often breeds cruel behavior, affecting not only inmates but also prison guards. A prime example of this can be seen at Rikers Island Penitentiary, which houses more people with mental illness than all New York State psychiatric hospitals combined. When inmate Jason Echeverria needed help, a supervising guard ignored his needs, and he tragically died in his cell. Despite suggested reforms, the culture of violence at Rikers remains, leading some to call for its complete demolition and rebuilding. The power of forgiveness. Following the tragic events of September 11, 2001, hate crimes against individuals from the Middle East increased in the United States. One such perpetrator, Mark Anthony Stroman, a white supremacist, targeted and killed 2 individuals, but his third target, Rice Bouillon, survived. In an astonishing display of forgiveness, Bouillon not only forgave Stroman for the attack, but actively campaigned for Stroman's release from death row. Bouillon's actions demonstrate the power of love, mercy, and forgiveness in transforming even the most hardened criminals, highlighting that these qualities can bring about real change in society. In the post-9/11 climate, fear and hatred fueled a devastating string of hate crimes, notably connected by the murderous acts of Mark Anthony Stroman. A 31-year-old white supremacist, Stroman felt compelled to take the lives of what he derogatorily called ragheads. His violent mission led to the killing of Waqar Hassan and Vasudev Patel. Ultimately, Stroman was sentenced to death for his heinous acts. However, one of his victims, Rice Bouillon, miraculously survived being shot in the face, thanks to emergency surgery. Bouillon's experience would dramatically change the course of his life and, eventually, that of Stroman's. Embracing the teachings of his Muslim faith, Bouillon forgave Stroman, going as far as campaigning for the man's freedom from execution. Believing in Stroman's humanity, despite his heinous crimes, Bouillon engaged in heated debate and petitioning against the death penalty. Upon hearing of Bouillon's campaign, Stroman embraced the unexpected act of compassion, expressing gratitude and cherishing the potential for positive change. Despite being executed in 2011, Stroman's final words resonated with the profound impact of Bouillon's forgiveness, urging an end to the hatred permeating the world. Bouillon's unyielding love, mercy, and forgiveness would ultimately kindle a remarkable transformation in the heart of a killer. A testament to the boundless nature of human redemption and dignity, Bouillon's story reminds us that these qualities hold the power to heal society and conquer the violence that lies within.
As Bharara demonstrates in To Doing Justice, the pursuit of truth and holding guilty parties accountable in the complex world of criminal law is a challenge riddled with pitfalls, biases, and false assumptions. Through captivating examples and insightful analysis, the book emphasizes the critical role of steadfast work ethic, asking the right questions, and seeking fairness above all else. By being aware of potential points of failure during an investigation, prosecutors can work to maintain the delicate balance of justice and ultimately help build a fairer society. This book serves as a compelling reminder to everyone in the field of criminal law, as well as any individual dedicated to the pursuit of truth, that constant vigilance, critical thinking, and empathy are vital in attaining a fair and just outcome.